I just cut nearly the center of a square out to each corner. That way we have everything ready here to go. And if we have a little moisture, like a little bit of egg wash.
That's apricot.
Was this no.
This is egg.
These are both egg wash. I think this one just has more salt in it. That's okay. Any moisture will get. Usually what I do is I moisten the center a little bit. And I'm going to start with, let's say, whatever one you feel like going with. Turn that to the center and pinch it down. Skip one and go to the next one. And if we need a little moisture, make sure it sticks. We'll just turn that one over and stick it down. Skip one, go to the next one. And then skip one and go to the next one. And from there, we can garnish that in any way we like. We could put a Fanta apple here. We could take some raspberry jam. We could pipe a ball, a little dollop of it here in the center, so that when it bakes, there's a little garnish in there.
Or the pastry cream.
Or pastry cream. Pastry cream might turn brown. It might turn brown in there. If you want to do pastry cream, I'd probably suggest baking these off ahead of time. And I'd probably press this down really well to get this, good and set, so it's not going to puff in that area. Let it bake, and finish it off with pastry cream afterwards, since the pastry cream won't have to bake that way. Pastry cream's already cooked, so it would do just fine by itself. Even after baking, it can be added. You can then add anything else you like too. If you want anything in addition to anything that you think you're going to bake, you can place there before baking. If you think you're going to do any berries and fruit, jam, that kind of thing. Makes for a really good, really attractive looking basic pastry. It'll all puff up. I have one up there. I have one up there. One with an apple that I placed with just an apple fan, and it worked out fine. But as I say, jam works very nicely because it doesn't burn at all. I'm just afraid pastry cream would turn burnt, and that would start to damage its appearance.
Okay.
Pastry cream is nice and thick. It can be done with a star tip, nice, like a nice rosette in the center. It can also be creamed together with some powdered sugar to give it a little more sweetness. It makes it a little bit more like a dessert-style cream filling, and be even a little sweeter than normal pastry cream. So those might be good fillings for that. But then I would probably bake this up ahead of time. As for boule au vent, we will use 2 different size rings. So let's say we start with a large one. Say we also use a smaller one as well. What we're going to do is we're going to cut bases and tops for the boule au vent. Just make sure I get a good clean cut. And I try to get the maximum out of my pastry that I can. But you're going to need 2 of these for each boule au vent. So it's a little longer than normal, but go ahead and fold it anyway. I get a little more width before you go ahead. Oh, sure. Yeah, you're doing a 4? You're doing a 3 now, so you're last one. Yes.
Can I put a glaze on the apricot glaze on the twisties?
Yeah.
Would it add flavor, or would it just be?
I would put that on after baking.
After it?
After baking, while they're still hot, fresh out of the oven, apricot glaze on them, gives them a little shine.
Sugar on them, and then
yeah, gives a little shine.
Does anybody need any apples? That still has some.
yeah.
Go for it. Alright, so for boule au vent, we're going to create the tops now. We're just going to cut out a smaller circle out of these couple of larger bases. And I'm not going to forget to do it this time. I'm going to dock the bottoms.
Hey, chef.
Yes.
Is that enough space for all?
I think it's well spaced, yeah. This will make sure they won't puff like mine. I'm trying to go lightly so I don't hurt your knife here against the metal table. The idea of docking is not necessarily to create big holes. The idea is just to stop, give the steam a place to escape. So, a little rim of egg wash here around the edges. Again, you can see it's not a ton of egg wash, just enough to moisten so that it will create a glue. And of course, then our rings get placed on top. And I try to just make sure they're nice and even with the bottoms. And those will bake just like that. That will create, as I say, an edible container. The sides will puff up, the bottom should not. And it will create a little cup for you to put anything in you like. At that point, you could put in fruit compote, something cooked. You know, some of your pastry cream.
Come on, Sam.
Yeah,
I just need to make it mix out.
In fact, one thing you could do with these is make something very similar to what we did with a fresh fruit tart. A little pastry cream in the bottom. You could even put berries or fresh fruit on top. And you could make something very similar to a fresh fruit tart, but with a crispy and flaky base instead of the cookie dough base that we used before. Lots of possibilities with a blue of all. Of course, like I mentioned all the savory applications before as well. You could look at things like, of course, anything that's cooked. So, my gosh, it could be beans and franks if you wanted to. You know, anything could go in there. I see a lot of people put mushrooms, wonderful sautéed mushrooms with a cream sauce. It's wonderful in there. You know, maybe splash a little bit of sherry in the mushrooms to flame that off to give it a little more flavor, but it could be really wonderful. And of course, your scrap. Anything you want to do with your scrap.